Okay, everybody, welcome aboard. Let me get this music off of here, and we will get this party started. Look at that. I can hit the pause button. It's just Coach Power. I'm so glad that you are able to join me today. I hope you're having a great time because I'm planning on having a great time today. Listen, if you have any questions or any information or anything you'd like to share, anything you'd like to post, please feel free to do so in the chat. If you have a business, if you have an organization that you'd like to shout out or give some information about, I'd love to help you share that information with as many people as possible. This show is a business friendly show. What that means is I'm not going to squash you or put the kiboshes on your thoughts and your dreams and your aspirations as we move forward. I want you to have as much engagement as you possibly can. You might find a new friend. You might meet some people who might be able to support your ideas and connect with you. And so we're going to have a happy, good time, and we're going to work together to try to create something magical. But that involves you, right? So make sure you get involved. If you haven't already subscribed on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever you're watching from, please do so. If you need to give me a thumbs up or you need to give me an attaboy or share this content with anybody, I really would appreciate it. It's because people like you, we can do this every Friday and make sure that we bring something relevant and meaningful to the small business community. That's what I'm all about. It's all about the small women and minority-owned businesses that are out there are trying to figure out how to make the next step, how to grow their business, how to do the right things. And that's what we do, talking and training and teaching and developing work all around the country and all over the world, really, and helping people establish those ideas and concepts. Sorry about that. In any case, today we're having a special topic, right? We are on the sixth part of a series of communication strategies in terms of helping you figure out how to answer some of the major communication questions that are out there and helping you put together the right kinds of strategies and techniques. Today's top topic is really going to be focused on making sure that you have an airtight, communication strategy that makes sure that you are doing things in a harmonious, balanced way, and you create that kind of harmonious opportunities around you whenever you have a chance to interact, react, talk, or share anything with anyone. It's attractive, it's interesting, it's phenomenal, and it's exciting. So it's not a speech one-on-one, but you're going to get a lot of elements of what it takes to communicate more effectively and communicate in a way that creates just the right kind of energy around you in the marketplace. And it's based off of not only just my research, but the article that I posted today on LinkedIn. So for those of you who are interested, you can go back to that article. Let me see if I can't post it again. And yeah, there it is. And you can get the article right down. You can download it right from LinkedIn and watch it or listen along. There's some illustrations in there that I'm going to refer to as we move through and talk about the issues. And if there's any questions that you have, along the way or in the moment or whatever it sparks you to share a question, go ahead and put that information in one of the chats. If I can't answer the question right away, I will answer it a little later on. And we will get to it as soon as is humanly possible. All righty, let's get this party started. First things first. When you talk about and deal with communication, it's super important that you think through everything that is required to make sure that your communication is meaningful, is useful, it's going to do the things you need it to do to create the kind of harmony and balance that you need to have. And so let's start off right off the bat talking about a couple of key questions that you want to be able to answer in your communication strategy. One question is, what is it that's your well-developed strategy to communicate your respect and appreciation for those that you work with? What is it? Do you have a strategy that makes that happen? What do you say to dramatically increase your collaboration with the talent pool of your work and your teams? How do you actively express your passion for becoming a diverse, equitable, and inclusive thought leader in your industry or profession? How will you quickly develop the kind of camaraderie that is needed to move into collaboration with new but more powerful members of your network? And then finally, when you're practicing your deep listening strategy, what winning tactics do you employ to make current and future stakeholders feel great about spending time with you? When you get this right, everything works much better. Everything lines up and everything kind of creates more and more and more opportunities for you. And in sharing this article, I think what's most important is that you understand it. So I'm going to put this into you with a story in a format that I think that could be really useful to you. But I want you to notice right up front, before I tell you Hillary's story, there's a quote that brings a lot of what I'm going to share with you later together. And that's from Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. The quote says, "I shall look at you out of the corner of my eye, and you will say nothing. Words are a source of misunderstandings." Think about what he's saying here. He's talking to someone else, obviously. The protagonist is talking to someone else in this particular quote. And he's saying, just basically be quiet and listen. Think about that. Because it's hard to misunderstand you if you're not saying anything. Right? So it's very difficult to do. So if you're not sharing information, you're not talking, then people have to make whatever assumptions they have to make, but they can't misquote you or misunderstand what your intentions are. And it is very important that you learn to listen before you communicate, so that you understand what's going on in the room and you get a sense for what's happening around you. Unlike my friend Hillary. Let me tell you about Hillary. Hillary was just a driven person from the jump. She got all that drive and all the excitement, everything she could pull from her type A parents, right? So they basically made sure that she had all the training. They making sure they spent as much money as they possibly could in developing her and everything she could develop as an athletic and as a musician early in her life. And she was just super talented at everything, super smart, super talented. She's just one of these people that just excelled everywhere. I mean, no one does this, but by 10th grade, she'd finished her Girl Scout Gold Award. That's the top of the pinnacle of what Girl Scouts offer. She was already done. And she's sitting on the council with people who were 2 years older than her. Some of them were even freshmen in colleges by the time she was done with that program. So it's so super important that, obviously you want to make sure you give your kids all the advantages. And most parents want to do that. They want to give as much advantage to their kids as possible. But there's some things that could be good, that could be really missing, and you think that Hillary, she'd be flying high forever. She'd be a super leader. She'd be a supercharger. It was impossible. There's no way her trajectory could be bad, right? But what a mess she became. With someone as much as education and exposure as she had, you'd think she'd be able to do better with people. She'd be more kind. She'd be able to, relax and not stress so much about, how to get her ideas out and share her thoughts. But she had to admit, after years of struggle in her job, she was just a work in progress like everybody else, right? She was just very difficult. It was very difficult for her to grasp what was going on. All of her peers had gone into the management training program with her when she started at the consulting firm, had moved on and gotten promoted and were in leadership and were doing different things in the organization. And she was still stuck, in a rut, not promoted. 5 years out, she was not promoted. She wasn't attending the best conferences. She wasn't able to make the kind of network strategies happen that they were able to do. She just wasn't able to make things happen the way she needed to happen. It didn't make absolutely no sense, because when she came into the firm, she was a top recruit. I mean, right out of MIT, best in her class, in her MBA class, and she just had the highest GPA. She won all the awards. Everybody was trying to get her to come work for them, and they were lucky to get her they felt lucky to get her at the organization until, she started just, messing things up. And it gotten so bad that, her project team leaders and people that were working around with her, they were always complaining about, her language, her tone. They were complaining about her lack of ability to follow up and follow through in a meaningful, powerful way. I mean, she just wasn't communicating any kind of positive energy. She wasn't making people feel comfortable in working with her, and they had to put her on a PIP. And for those of you who don't know, that's a performance improvement plan. And her boss was really, dejected and feeling like, he must have failed her somehow, some way. He doesn't know how to fix it. For some reason, it's just not working out. And he gave me a call. And I had worked with him over the years and worked with him on a couple of occasions. And he asked me to step in and see what I could do. Step in and see if I could, maybe give her a couple assessments, maybe talk to her a little bit about her process, and maybe figure out, what the exact problems were that needed to be addressed. And we did that. We both agreed, and she agreed as well as I did, that she just needed to make some subtle shifts in her communication style and her behaviors in order to fix the problems and get her career back on, the kind of trajectory that she belonged on, and do the things she needed to be able to do. And so we were able to work with her, and we were able to create an understanding with her and help her, not only just implement a strategy, but make sure she had a well-written plan of all the elements that we're going to talk to you about later on in today's world. I know people like that. I know people like Hillary. I know people who are out there struggling. They have great ideas. They have great intention. They maybe even have a wonderful pedigree, but they have a hard time in implementation. They have a hard time in communicating when they have to work with others. And here's the thing. If you can't work with others well, you'll never be able to multiply your efforts. And this is important because, every organization is asking for all of us to do more with less, right? And the only way to do more with less is to do it through other people. And so a good book I will recommend, that's on my shelf right there, is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. I suggest that everybody read it. Read it back and forth over and over again, cover to cover, dog ear it, highlight it, underline it, do whatever you need to do, because it's one of the best books that has ever been written on, effectively communicating with one another. Now, as a networker, this is something that I love to do. I recognize that a lot of you, I got a lot of friends out there right now. Our boy Pelham Moore is connected from New York. Hey, Pelham, if you got a business or you have something that you want to share with the audience, feel free to put that in the chat, and I'll make sure we talk about it. We got a few other friends of mine who are out there. Don't forget, again, put your information in the chat. Let's give you a shout out. Let us big you up a little bit, and we'll talk about what's going on. I'm sure you guys know people out there who fall into the situation like Hillary's fallen into. It's not about your talent. It's not about your abilities as much as it's about your willingness and your ability to create a cohesive team and communicate such that people feel good about working with you and talking to you. And there are a couple key elements to making that kind of thing happen that I was able to share with Hillary, and let me share them with you. First thing you got to do, and this is super important, is you got to learn what a harmonious situation looks like. If you can't speak to it, if you can't understand it, if you can't give it a concept where you can see how it can work, then you can't even really figure that out. You've got to learn how to respect and appreciate everyone around you. This takes a lot of hard work, especially if, you've always been in front of the pack. If you've always been the leader, you've always been the kind of person that is, again, doing everything first, experiencing everything first, and really being out there is very difficult to think about maybe slowing down and allowing a couple people to catch up and starting and looking back and to see, things from their perspective about what's going on. And you all might be participating in the same activities, but if you never understand how other people feel about those activities, then you're not going to develop that commonality with them. You're not going to be able to have a common cause. You're not going to be able to see what differences they have that you have and how to help them maybe overcome some of their weaknesses and boost their strengths, and vice versa, because you're going to have weaknesses and strengths no matter how far out front you are, no matter how great you are. Nobody's perfect, right? So you're going to have things that could be worked on, or things that somebody else could do that are much better than you. And if you have that opportunity to work together with them, then you both grow faster, right? So it's very, very important that you learn and take these differences and enjoy them. right? And you got to do this with tons of intensity and while always remaining hopeful. These are all critical elements to creating a harmonious environment around you, right? So key to doing all that is getting down to the point where you can respect and appreciate people at a very, very high level. So let's talk about that. What is respect? A lot of times when we think about respect, we think about just the general, I respect everybody type of position, right? This is when you go, well, I open the door for people. I say hello. I'm nice to everyone. I say please and thank you. I've been taught the rules, right, of how to do this. So I'm a respectful person because this is how I behave, right? But that's not really what respect is. Respect is so much more than that. It's that, but it's also being able to find a way to deeply admire something about somebody. So much so that you might be bordering on adoration when you talk to them, when you think about them, when you look at them, when you witness them or participate with them. So in order to really feel like someone is special to you, in order to feel like something special about someone, you are going to have to put the time in to understand who they are, where they come from, what they're all about, what they're really, really good at, what gifts and talents they might have that you think and authentically think are special or unique or interesting, right? Because when you can get to that kind of respect, and then you can articulate that kind of appreciation for someone, what happens then is you open the door for that relationship to bloom. You open the door, and it's not just a personal relationship, it's a professional relationship. It doesn't matter. Everybody wants to be meaningful, relevant, and significant, right? So if you show them that you've noticed something specific in them that allows you to appreciate and respect them at a deep and meaningful level, and you're able to articulate what that thing is specifically, so they know this is the thing that you've done, that you do, that's better than most, then they're going to give you the benefit of the doubt. Often you're going to be able to talk to them more readily. You're going to be able to show for your clients, for your referral sources, for your stakeholders, or anybody, your future investors, anybody who's going to talk to you, you're going to be able to make them feel good about talking to you. And they're not going to be hesitant about sharing information with you. They're going to be opening up to you because you're opening up to them. You have to be willing to go there first, right? You have to be willing to be the first to find the point of what I call genuine mutual admiration. Try to develop a mutual admiration society with everybody you meet. Oh, I love the way you did this. I love the way you said that. I love the way this thing worked for you. How did you do that? You have to be that kind. You have to have that kind of interest in the people, specifically people that you work with on a regular basis, people that you look up to, people that you have influence over, people that you want to influence that may be at a different level than you or above you. You want to get noticed, right? So you're going to have to, don't just be a fan, right? I give this analogy all the time. It's like people who meet Oprah, oftentimes they just faint, right? They're like, oh my God, it's Oprah. And they lose their mind. They go crazy. And they don't know how to appropriately show the kind of appreciation for what she may mean to them or the gift she may have given to their lives. And so one of the greatest things I think you should learn to do is think about your greatest heroes. Think about the people that you feel fabulous about, and ask yourself, what would I say to them if I had a chance to meet them? And I wanted them to not only know that I'm a fan, but I appreciate something very specific about what they did in their performance, or what they said, or what they shared, or what they showed in the book that they wrote, or whatever it is that they get, that I consider it a gift, and here's what I intended to do with it, and here's how it's blessed my life. If you are able to do that, then you're going to find it's much easier to turn people who would just be like, oh, you're just a fanatic, you're just a fan, into somebody who goes, oh, you're going to want to get these backstage passes. You want to go and meet, you want to be on our VIP. When our VIP program comes to this tour, I want to make sure you have it. In fact, we'll fly you out to Chicago, or if we're going next, or something like that kind of stuff happens for people who know how to show genuine, heartfelt appreciation and gratitude for others. And it's critically important. Not only did you have it in your heart, but you learned to articulate it. So start writing down the story. What would happen? Look at the top 5 people that you think are your most impressive in your life, and why you think they're impressive, what they've done specifically that impressed you. Write it down. And when you get a chance to tell them, tell them. These are the things I love about you. These are the things that when you did this for me, let me tell you what it allowed me to do. Let me tell you how it made me feel. Let me tell you what I think now about my future as a result of this particular that you share with me. It's so super important that you learn to do that. The next thing you want to learn to do in creating a harmonious communication strategy is learn how to do what I call talent projection and collaboration. When I talk about talent projection, I mean, you have to understand that everybody has talents. Everybody has gifts. But very few people pay attention enough to other people around them in order to see where they're truly gifted. And so in your expertise, no matter what you do, whether you're a doctor, your dentist, a lawyer, your CPA, whatever you do, engineer, it doesn't matter. Whatever you're doing, other people around you are also doing it, and they're also other people you're associated with are also in your field, and they may be doing something to a very, very high level, some subtlety in the industry or the expertise that you could recognize and see that the rest of the world can't see, right? But if you go to them and you say, "Listen, I saw this, I witnessed it. This is what you do. You do this so exceptionally well. I am so pleased that we are associated with one another because you do this exceptionally well. And I feel blessed to have the opportunity just to be in the same space with you and watch you do it." I promise you, whatever you witness, that person may or may not be familiar with that talent within them, but because you shared it with them, they now can see it from a whole different perspective, and that perspective is yours. Now, when you're looking at somebody, you're sharing something a glowing positive thing that they have contributed to your life or your business or your profession to them. It's impossible for them to feel like you're an enemy. It's impossible for them to feel like, especially in this moment, that you're out to get them or anything like that, unless something is wrong with them. So, and I say this because I say, now, this is a caveat to what I'm going to tell you. Yes, you should do this. You should try to find the talent trajectory, especially people that are in your upline, or people that you have a high level of respect for, people that you really want to emulate in your own professional life, in your own business, right? You want to make sure you do that. You want to show that talent projection that you have for them, and maybe a shared vision that you may have with them, but you can't do this with everyone. You got to be careful. Because if you start walking around telling everybody how wonderful they are, how great they are, then that's pretty much all you do. And that gets to be known and recognized as well. Like, he's just sort of blowing smoke or souping me up. And it's not being genuine and authentic. So I want to remind you is how important it is that it's genuine, it's authentic, and it's specific if you're going to do talent projection with someone, right? But once you've also done that, wouldn't it be great if you could not only share with them where you think their talent and gifts might take them, right? But share with them what you're willing to do to help them get there. Because if you understand your own talents, right, you might be able to align your gifts and skills with that person's gifts and skills in a way that moves you both forward collaboratively, right? So be willing to say, okay, I see this as you have this amazing talent that I'm phenomenally impressed with. And I know that anybody we would work with would also be phenomenally impressed with. And I happen to be gifted at this particular thing over here, whatever the other thing is. And I think together we could make some real magic happen. And can you see how if we work together, we might be able to do some great things and so on and so forth. And let's talk about that at some point. And the next thing you know, you're into a conversation of how you can collaborate. And when you get in that conversation, all kinds of magic happens, because you get deep enough to find out what that means. So you have to not just be able to do that, but you have to make the commitment verbally. You have to be able to articulate where you think this is going to go and what you'd like to do and what you like, how you'd like to participate. And this again is a communication strategy. And there's all kinds of techniques I'm going to teach you after the course here, but make sure you think about that. The third thing you want to recognize in a good collaborative communication strategy, or when you're creating harmony, is you have to find the gift of commonality. And you can do this with almost anyone. I mean, almost anyone of any age. I promise you can do this. And I'm going to point you back to something in just a second. But before I do that, studies show that human beings have a neurobiological need to connect to one another. I mean, we are hardwired for connection. And it's how we know everything. It's through the facial expression, it's through the gestures, it's through the eye contact, it is through not just what we say, but it's what we do and how we react. And all of these things communicate with us, and we connect to it in a deep emotional, spiritual place that sometimes is very difficult to even articulate. But when you can find the way to articulate that kind of energy, not only can you make it happen, but you can make it happen on call, instantly, right? Now, what I'm describing to you, scientists have already studied this. In fact, I took a course earlier this week with a wonderful young lady named Sade I'm going to murder this name, Sade Zarai. I think that's how she pronounces it, Sade Zarai. And I have a link there to her LinkedIn profile in the article, as well as to what she shared with us, which was really about the halo effect. Now, the halo effect has been studied by psychologists for years. And it's usually thought of as a negative thing, because what happens with the halo effect, when you develop a level of commonality, a camaraderie with someone, they give you the benefit of the doubt that they may not, they shouldn't necessarily give it to you without thinking all the way through that it's possible. So what happens is, because you see somebody as gifted or talented in one area and you trust them in this one area, you assume that you can also trust them in this other area. And it's a natural thing. It's a natural for human beings to circumvent. We look for these kinds of shortcuts all the time. And it becomes very, very difficult to circumvent it. And so I am telling you, if you develop the kind of communication strategy that I'm suggesting that you develop with others, you're going to get that halo effect quite a bit. Now, I want you to use this for good, not for evil, right? Because you could easily use it to manipulate someone instead of influence. And this is the demonic side of the same coin, right? The difference between manipulation and influence is intent, right? So if you're able to create this halo effect by making sure that you understand how to make that talent projection, how to make those commitments to move this collaborative effort forward, and people feel good about it, they're going to find that you have that gift of commonality. You're going to have that gift of commonality, people that you've ever been through anything with, right? You can say, we've done this together, right? And if you haven't done it together, maybe you've done something similar in your past that you both can share. You've gone to the same college, you belong to the same fraternity, you are belonging to the same career field or same industry somehow, some way, or you're in the same conference together, or there's commonality always. And I find myself in networking functions quite a bit, and I know that everybody in the networking function is there to what? They're there to network, right? So one of the things you might want to do is like, listen, you're here, I'm here. I'm sure there's some people here that you really would like to meet. Why don't you describe for me the kind of people that you really like to meet? I'll describe for you the kind of people that I really like to meet. And as we're bumping into people, we might be able to share and go, okay, you know what? Marvin described this kind of person that he wants to meet. And Jim described this kind of person. And so now we're out and we're being each other's eyes and ears. If you do that with 5 or 6 people in a networking event, basically you get to meet everybody in the room on more favorable terms than just, let me just bump into you and say hi, kind of thing. You can be more strategic and more fulfilled in your strategy if you are able to pick out some collaborators right away, and you're now working together. At the end of the night, you get to come back and say, okay, now who do we find for you? Who do I find for me? And how did it all work out? And you get to study it, you get to react to it in a way that's more proactive than reactive, right? This is what this topic is all about. If you haven't figured that out, right? It's how we can exercise proactive strategies to get you where you need to go. The best business people do this all the time. They're able to walk into a room. They're able to be so charming and effervescent that people just fall in love with them and they get what they want. while delivering what is needed, right? So it's super important that you get this. Okay, the next thing you want to think about is, really how do you develop happiness and joy in any environment? Where, because we're talking about DEI all the time, we're talking about diversity, equity, inclusion all the time. And that's basically an environment of people who are all different. And that's almost every environment that you go into nowadays, right? So it's very, very important that you learn to respect everyone's individuality, everyone's perspective, and everyone's culture as you move forward, because there are some people in some cultures and some groups who obviously have not been able to get that kind of attention, get the kind of balance they need to balance. They haven't gotten justice. They haven't gotten the kind of influence that they should have, and they certainly haven't gotten, what they deserve as human beings from most institutions, right? So it's important that those things get recognized and dealt with. And that's discovered as a wonderful magazine by Forbes, and it really breaks down, why diversity is important. But the thing I want you to know, most importantly here, is when people of different ethnic groups and different religions and different ideologies and thought processes come together, it's not always a harmonious experience, but it can be. And if everybody's working towards that, it absolutely can be. Everybody's up front about that. They don't just have the policies in place, but they have the practices in place that helps people feel wonderful about each other without being panicked or fearful, and people can feel connected instead of being confused and disordered, right? So it's critically important that you get in front of the ideas that you need to get in front of to create this harmonious balance when it comes to expressing those things. And that's a great article. I think you should go out and read it. And we'll talk a little bit more about it in just a second. The last thing and the most important thing that you need to learn when trying to create a harmonious balance in terms of communication, right? You need to learn how to practice what I call deep down listening. Now, deep down listening not only pays attention, right, but it involves your ability to respond in an active way, right? You have to be able to practice active listening. You have to be able to go, okay, I hear you. What I think I heard you say was this. Did I get this right? I want to make sure I understand completely. Is there anything else I should understand about what you just said? Can I extend it? Ask another question. Ask a deeper question than whatever the person answered about, so you can maybe even think even deeper about it. Well, I hear you say you're interested in XYZ, but tell me why again that's important to you, and what can you do with it as a result of it? Now all of a sudden, they're engaging a different part of their brain around the same topic, and you're hearing a different perspective as well on the same topic from the same person. And now you're starting to get a deeper, more meaningful conclusion, making deeper, more meaningful understanding of what the thing is, so that when you say, okay, so it seems to me like it would be really good for you if you were to accomplish boom, 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 and then you would do it in this way, and that would, blah, blah, blah. And if people felt this way about it, that would really, really be good for you. Did I get that right? And all of a sudden people go, yeah, you got it. Now people are saying, then you see their body language change. And they're starting to lean in, and they're starting to go, yeah, you get it, you understand. Sometimes I do this so well with people that I'm like the first person they feel like they ever listen to, which to me is crazy, because I do it all the time. I'm so excited about people. I'm so excited about meeting new people and talking to new people and strategizing with them and trying to help them find their talent trajectory and move them forward. I'm so excited about that I naturally engage in these kinds of conversations all the time. But this is not something that is innate. This is something that I had to learn. So I know if I learned it, you can learn it too. So practice this deep down listening. Practice, not speaking, but just asking questions and listening and being engaged and showing up. Practice that. And so that when you speak, by the time you do speak, people are ready for it. People are ready to hear what you have to say. They're ready to hear what you think. And that's kind of what happens. That's exactly what happened to Hillary. Once I taught Hillary all the techniques that I just talked to you about, literally her success ran off the chain at the job. All of a sudden, she started getting promoted. People started saying, we recommend Hillary for this. We think Hillary's great at that. Hillary's amazing at this. And I love Hillary for this, and so on and so forth. So all of her talents that were already there got to be seen, because her communication with everyone else was much more positive, much more uplifting, much more engaging, much more giving in terms of her time and her effort to pay attention to others. And once she got to that point, now all of a sudden, she could turn it on. And all of a sudden, her personal life blew up as well. Today, not only is Hillary a vice president in her company, she's happily married. She's got, a kid on the way. Everything is working well for her in her life, and she sees it's no sign of it's ever going to stop. And so my point to all of you all is there are tons of things you can do. There are tons of opportunities out there for all of you, and you can start right now. You don't have to wait to learn how to use these techniques in your life, in your business. And I got here in the chart, there's about, I don't know how many, 6 different exercises that I suggest you do. I'm not going to go through them all because we're running low on time, but check out these exercises, look at them, and ask yourself, if you can run through these exercises, what that might do for your ability to communicate more effectively, your ability to create the strategy around yourself and your life that makes a difference for others. Because if you can do this well, then you can win. You can win whatever race you want. You can win your race, and you can help others win their race. I know because I do it all the time. And if you're ever having a need for any coaching or any strategies, reach out to me. In fact, my number is going to be running right across the screen here in just a second as soon as I figure out how to do it. Look at that. This is how you get in contact with the coach. This is how you find me, reach out to me, do whatever you want to do. I hope that you guys got as much out of this as I got out of this. I recognize that there's some strangers in the room. I don't know how they got here, but I'm going to boot them out as soon as I can. And I hope that you found this opportunity positive and uplifting. And I hope that you will grow and share as much as you can. I don't see any questions. I see my girl Annette's out there. Look at that. It's so good to see you, Annette. Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate you. Annette's one of the super special person. And just, I think, a great gift to all of us. So definitely check out her post there. Her organization is all about gratitude. It's about Thanksgiving, and it's important. And so if you get a chance to stop by, visit her on her social media pages and so on and so forth, I'm sure she would appreciate it. Tell them that Marvin sent you. Whether you catch this information later on or right now, hopefully you're able to get there. I see my girl Catherine's out there. Oh, Catherine, so good to see you. Thank you so much for coming in today. I'm trying to get rid of some of these negative posts I got going on and on YouTube. I'm like, where does people coming from? Anyhow, sometimes you get these trollers out there, who just posting negative stuff on the page and stuff. So because that's the only way for them to get attention. But thank you so very much for coming out, Catherine. I really appreciate you. And I'm looking forward to the next time we get a chance to work together. Oh my God, we had such a phenomenal time. And I'm going to schedule that next Leverage Up conference real soon. So stay posted, Catherine. I'm coming at you. And we need to get some more girl power in the room next time we do this. And that's so great. That's Catherine. By the way, if you get a chance to link up with Catherine, talk to Catherine, she's just one of the best trainers out there in terms of developing content and developing things that you want to develop for your business and get people training the way they want to get to. And there's so much training that has to happen as we get America back into manufacturing and growing up. There's going to be so much to do for you, Catherine. I don't envy you because it's going to be a big job. There's going to be a lot of jobs, a lot of work. So I hope you can scale up quick because we're going to have to get you working. All right. Other than that, I had a great time. It's about 3:43, and we're moving on. We're sticking a good time. I'm going to see if I got a chance to ask any questions. Anybody have any questions out there about communication strategy or what you think might work? Anything about what we talked about that you want a little deeper information about, or anything you want to share? Feel free to put it in the chat. Let's see if we can get some action going on. I'm gonna wait a little bit because it takes some time for people to type sometimes their little ideas and make their little posts and stuff. So I don't want to cut anybody off. All righty. I don't see anything coming through. So guess what we're going to do? We're going to say bye-bye. Again, guys, if you haven't already followed me on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, please do so. If you need to give me a thumbs up, you need to share whatever we're talking about, please share. I work exceptionally well with all kinds of entrepreneurs all over the world. I have one of the hugest networks you're probably going to ever need. If you have somebody that you need to meet, you could probably find them in my network. That's just literally how long I've been cultivating so many professional relationships for so many years. I'm talking 25 years. I've been on LinkedIn, and I've been, culling and creating the kind of environment that I think is just right for so many business leaders to enjoy working together. My articles, I continue to write an article, try to write at least one every 2 weeks. I got lots of content that I put out there. If there's something you want to know, I'm probably already written about it or talked about it somehow, some way. I'd be more happy to share whatever I have with you, but make sure you told me you watch Coffee Tea You and Me. You can find me, all my stuff is scrolling across the screen right now. And so you won't have any excuse not to reach out. God bless you. I love you all. Thank you so much. I had a great time, and I am out of